Howdy y'all, Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. And you know what, as the server draws to a close, I realized one of the greatest strengths that we have as a community is the fact that we all have our own approaches and ideas. Like, for example, Tangotek had a wonderful idea to do a live stream where he reviewed chronologically all of his favorite builds on the server that he had participated in. And it would be disrespectful to the community if I did not acknowledge that brilliant contribution that Tango made and then steal it outright. I think that I'm just going to take that idea and just slam right into it. Whoa. Like it is some sort of island that has been walled off. You guys might not remember it, but this was actually where we made our first landing on this continent when we started the server. It was not quite so grand then. Now, I believe see, this is where Season 4 began. The gallery had not even begun. You know, let's go ahead and actually run up the stairs here, because this is actually one of the first places that any of us built on the server. People started digging into cliffs over here, where I later built this dock. But my first build, I had gotten separated from everybody else, and I came all the way up here. And I honestly believed, because I had a map that Asuma gave us all, and the map I misread, but I thought this was the residential district. So I was like, well, I got separated from everybody anyway, so I might as well just build my first house. And that is how Maslow's hierarchy of state got started. With what little wood I had on my person, I went ahead and threw some things down. And I've since then kind of renovated it slightly. I put in the chest for the stake, but like this glass pane here that protrudes into the house, this hole with the torch, that's all original. The roof is new. I think the basement might still be under there that I hid in the first night. Whoop. Yep, sure is. Hiding from skeletons under here. See, it's funny how much history is just below the surface of a Minecraft server. Let's go ahead and we're going to put that one back. And up, and away. Just one block below the surface. There it was. So yeah, this was my first build. Now, I actually came back and turned this into a steak shop in episode 16. But, you know, that was kind of one of those things that came later. And, let's see. So, then, let's grab some fireworks here. And actually, you know what, let's go for a walk. Let's go ahead and walk through the server instead of just flying over it. You know, we got the sun going down, but it hasn't just been a good day. It's been a good year. We are in our 14th or 15th month now of this server. We started in late February of 2016, and we are now in April of 2017. So yeah, I mean, it's been a good run. 14 months. A lot of people worked on the server. Cleo, one of the first people I met in the Minecraft community, built this wonderful tower. Biffa, one of the first hermits I played alongside, and the first prank I did on a Hermitcraft server was against Biffa. I actually built this thing, though it looks like somebody built a pumpkin wall in front of it. Or no, it's just a pumpkin. Oh, it's an entire pumpkin adjacent that. Wait, I knew that was there. But yeah, I mean, Cleo's iconic, just iconic, get it? Iconic tower, still decked out for Christmas. That's one of the funny things about playing on these multiplayer servers, is you lose a sense of time, because somebody will build something for Halloween, like a giant pumpkin, and just leave it there. And it's kind of like the video game equivalent of the guy who never cleans up his Christmas lights. But, oh, this present was for Hermitcraft's Christmas, actually. But I liked it so much I left it. That came later, but I'm doing a terrible job of telling this story chronologically. This house that I'm living in these days, in my city house here, started out as just this platform a long, long time ago. Just this platform and a ladder, and I chose this spot because it overlooked there was kind of a hole into the mesa here that I knew I could use to climb down and climb back up without getting shot by skeletons. And even right here, so close to the edge of civilization, you can still see the monsters. You know, we claimed all of this. We didn't light it all, though. I went through and I lit up a lot of this with these kind of glassy embedded pieces. But then when Vintage Beef came later, he went ahead and, well, built his whole Mars base and added a ton of additional lights in the intervening spaces. So let's run down the stairs. It's funny because it's hard to do a chronological tour of this server because it's like, or of my contributions even alone, because it's like, okay, well, this was a platform I built in like the 3rd or 4th episode, but then I came back in like the, I don't know, 7th or 8th episode and built this farm, and then in the 13th one I built another layer of farms, and then the portal came later, and so like this house might have been every 6 episodes for 60 episodes I worked on it. But let's go ahead and swing by the horse stable down here and grab us a horse, because some of the stuff on the server is best viewed on horseback. Oh, that's right, poor at No Hills. Well, let's take at Woe Hills. Whoa, dude, first time I've been out of the stable in a while, man. No way. Yes way, and don't get stuck on those torches. Anyway, so let's see, other early builds I made on the server. One of them, Wells Knight actually just contacted me about recently to let me know he was partially destroying. So we can go look at the wreckage of that. But over here in the Municipal district, I created one of the first naturally occurring bridges on the server. By which I mean I faked a naturally occurring bridge. If it was actually naturally occurring, it would have already been there. And I put this together, and I thought, okay, this is pretty good. Later on, False made a naturally occurring bridge that's like 100 times more naturally occurring. But, yep, as you can see, Wells kind of has eked out or projected out a portal entrance into my, or onto my bridge. But once again, he had permission. It's a multiplayer server. We all want to work together to make things better. So, no complaints there. But yeah, it's funny. So after building, you know, little bridges and stuff to kind of help people get around, I also put in some horseways underground because I wanted horses to be the primary means by which I got around on the server. And this was before we had the rockets for our elytras. So that seemed kind of reasonable, although like elytras and rockets are clearly way better. That's where I built my temporary bridge, which you can still see the wreckage of scattered into the valley there. Little bits of red and white sand, just all blended in. And let's see what goes this way. Oh yeah, here is the entrance to our horseway, which somebody else has reworked. It's not the simplest way to get around the mesa, but it does kind of, in particular, it helps if you got trapped or stuck in this valley over here in the middle of the night, which sometimes people would. So the fact that they could run in there and get up to the mesa. I just wanted to take advantage of this naturally occurring structure, and that tunnel was pretty much already naturally occurring to a large degree. Now, let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, my cattle machine. And I've probably spent 6 or 12 episodes over the course of the series just expanding its size or changing the redstone or adjusting it. And it's a pretty solid concept all around, but it's not by any means the most efficient possible cow library. Cow library, that's not what you call it, cattle farm. Hi, I'd like to check out a cow, please. And then you scan it with a little barcoder. So yeah, this bridge, this fallen tree bridge, didn't come in until later, because we had a really ugly cobblestone bridge here, which nobody could see really except for me when I was working on my cattle farm. But when Beef showed up and that bridge was in the background of all of his videos, I hated it, so I was like, I'm putting in a new bridge, a fallen tree bridge. So I did. Well, as fun as it is to hang around the house, you know, I did improve this place for a reason, and that reason is a season-wide intention. Intention sounds like I wasn't trying very hard. But, man, Asuma always building fancier stairs than me. I suppose that's intentional as well. But anyway, I do have this dock here because I wanted to be able to travel by boat. So if we go this way, past the lighthouse that replaced the At No Hills memorial tree, which I guess we don't really need now that he came back from the dead once. Maybe he'll come back from the dead again next season. We'll have to find out. Let's see. We have more crazy fish fire over here, along with synchronized squidding down that way. But I wanted to return to the shopping district to talk a little bit about the process of developing the art gallery originally. Now, when I was first thinking about this gallery space, I knew that I wanted to have a place to put art on the server, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted, other than that I wanted it to reflect the visual look of the mesa and feel like a big ice cream cone. I was just like, people don't do enough ice cream cone shaped things in Minecraft. It's a real pain to do like cylinders that slope away from their center line, and or conic sections, I guess you would consider that a conic section that slopes away from its center line. And I wanted to see if I could apply some of what I had learned about making circles in previous seasons to make bigger and better circles in such a way that the colors of the mesa projected outward, and I believe I achieved that goal. I talked to my wife a lot about what I thought a good roof would be for this, and I talked about having like an actual ice cream cone spherical piece up here or whatever, but what we kind of came back to was the idea that it just would be better without a ceiling, because even though it's supposed to be an art space, it's an art space inside of a game, and this also allows me to build taller things that might project through the ceiling, like in this case, the Shears Tower. So, here we go. If we hop through here, though, now of course, the execution of the gallery changed over time. I've put new artwork in there since then, and then we are not likely to have another auction anytime soon, since we're restarting the server and whatnot. But I am happy with how this turned out as a space that people could visit and see something different. And I think the Shears Tower was one of the more interesting studies in scale I did this season. But that didn't really come until later. I actually built an earlier, smaller scale model on my farm a little bit ago. But let's go ahead and see the artwork that was delivered from the first season. Or not the first season, the first round of auctions. So here we are now inside of Logwarts, because I wanted to get back to Logwarts. This is one of the builds that Isuma and Rendog did later on in the server, but they went ahead and bid on all the artwork I constructed. Okay, they've done work since I was here last, so this pond is new. I'm having a hard time finding the door to the art room. I thought it used to be just through here, but this is a dead end, so that can't possibly be it. This is the way to the recruitment center. Maybe I'm lower down than I thought I was. No, wait, this garden's all new. This must have been put in, like, yesterday. Okay, let's see. So if I go back down here, somewhere there's a false wall that leads into the art gallery area. And maybe it's down the stairs here. Oh, here it is. We pulled out the false wall, although I had a sign that said totally just a regular wall with nothing behind it. And here are two of the pieces that were on display in the gallery originally. One by Brendan Adkins, one by Lapis Lori. Big fan of both of those folks. Definitely appreciate them letting me use something of theirs on the server. As well as my personal recreation of important building in England, whose name I can't remember. Why did I not put a sign here? The only reason to not put a sign here is because I was sure that I would remember that this isn't the palace at Westminster, is it? No, this is something like... This is Elizabeth Tower. Yeah, that's right. This is Elizabeth Tower, and I think that this is the Parliament building. Dang it. Okay. My British architectural information. I'm sure every British person knows this stuff by heart, in the same way that everybody who designs weird hourglass water sculptures knows exactly the name of this thing by heart. But for the rest of us, there's a sign here that says Perpetual Helix by Brendan Adkins. And there's a sign on this one that says Sea Cow Bay by Lapis Lori. Now, this was a particularly busy dig, trying to get this whole space to work better. And it's not quite perfect how the reflection operates here, but if you missed those videos, I do want to real quickly hop down here. Oh, I'd forgotten I did that room as well. I didn't do anything back here because that was going to be an insane amount of time. But this reflection was probably one of the most interesting things I did on the server in terms of just kind of thinking about how I wanted to achieve a goal. And I literally just built this entire room here and this entire sculpture upside down under glass with water there. You can see the mobs playing underneath, which they're having fun. So, let's see. If I go down here, I don't think I ever really finished this entrance in a nice looking way. But yeah, you can see we've just got a second sea cow base on. A million skeletons are going to try and shoot up at me. And we've got this upside down tower. That's how you can tell that they are in distress, when the clock is upside down. But yeah, anyway, so this was one of... Ooh, that would have been a bad fall. This was one of the spaces I'm proudest of on the server. Let me chug this real quick. Yeah, there are a lot of mobs down there. Oh, I forgot, spiders can climb up into here too. I better not go down there. Does this look different with the see-through potion, or the night vision potion? Because I know it lets you see through water a little bit, but I think the reflection actually looks worse now, because it kind of tinted it blue more. Huh. That was interesting. I just wanted to look at that at least once with that on. So, anyway. Big fan of that reflective... There's another spider. And, of course, now I've got potion stuff all over me. Well, and now the sky is all purple because of this night vision potion I drank. So that was a great move on my part. You know, I was looking through the list of videos I made, and I spent probably 8 or 10 videos just working on that room we were just in. And I spent a lot of videos out working on experimenting with crops on my farm. And I feel like we've seen my farm a lot in recent videos, so I don't want to revisit that right away. I spent some time building a bookmobile, which has since been destroyed to make room for a library. I spent some time making a sandcastle that has since been washed away. But this room I built, and as part of this kind of boardwalk expansion here that nobody else took advantage of. Maybe when you guys download the server, you can put your own rooms in here. I'm pretty happy with how this tanned chest leather shop turned out, though. And the chest pieces on top were an especially nice improvement. It's funny, you know, you lose track of how long ago some of this stuff was. Whoa, I was just thinking, oh, hey, it's another hermit, because he's wearing cool armor. But it is a skeleton. Not my favorite. So yeah, there's the remains of that, oh yeah, because it's dark out, I just don't realize it because I've got the night vision potion. There's the remains of the tide-swept sandcastle. It looks about as tide-swept as you would hope a sandcastle would look after it got washed out. So let's go ahead and swing by my library next. Because this was a build that I was pretty happy with. Spent a lot of time thinking about it. I reserved this space in the Municipal district. Literally, probably 8 months before I started working on it, there was a sign there that just said Joe Hill's Library, which was why I put that temporary bookmobile in to hold people over, to let them know I was going to be back one day, the once and future librarian king, or what have you. But, yeah, so you can kind of see it over there. It's that sandstone and nether brick roof building. It's based very closely on a library that I used to visit as a child that is a real library called Mary Muser Memorial Library. And there are not a lot of good photos of it on Google or, like, anywhere. Their website is very out of date, but they're a non-profit library that, so, you know, they're a weird entity too, because there's like a county library system in the county they're located, but this was like a city library that was donated by a wealthy person named Mary Muser, and so it's kind of they're kind of independent, but it's very small, all things considered, way smaller than like most county libraries you would visit. And it was just literally the house or the home of the Muser family had been adopted into a library. I took a lot of took a lot of liberty with shelving, because in real life shelves are not a meter wide, and in Minecraft it completely throws it off. If I'd scaled the building up to accommodate the number of shelves the real library has, it would have been too big for the plot that I requested, since I requested the plot based on the actual the actual size. And I didn't even finish the downstairs of this as much as I would have liked to, which, one of those last-minute projects. I need to have a last-minute projects tidy-in video, probably, before we actually turn the server over to the fans. You know, we'll have the downloadable version of it or whatever, and it's no fair for us to, like, leave poorly placed floors in place. Although sometimes I feel like that, is kind of a disservice to the fans if the final version of the thing looks a lot different than the original. You know, like if I were to take, I always said I wanted to take this box and turn it into clay. Now that concrete's out, I kind of want to make it concrete, but like it's been wool for all this time since Christmas, so I kind of think like, well, if in the last week I shouldn't change it. And I always wanted to make this farm a little bit more consistent. We've got clay mixed with grass here, but I feel like leaving those little touches in is kind of, you know, heart of the cards, true to the spirit of the game here. So another thing I need to do, like, this is where we get into a weird spot, because I'm like, I really wanted to build a fort here, and I decided against it. So I gotta decide what I want to do with this. If commenters want to leave suggestions about what to use this space for, turning it into something other than a fort at the last minute might be kind of funny. Although I could just finish the fort, I guess. Got a few days. Not a ton of time. Because in order to get the world download out and everything, there's actually a lot more downtime between Hermitcraft 4 and Hermitcraft 5 than you might expect. And I guess the only thing left really is the farm, which I actually started that farm. I chose this biome as my claimed base. In April of last year, so 2 months after the server was spawned or created, I came out here and I said, this is flat enough and sufficient to fill with a cornfield or wheat field that I could then place a baseball field inside of. That was literally all I wanted to do. Because I was like, I knew I wanted to do the Field of Dreams house. I knew I wanted to do the big cornfield or wheat field if I could. And I knew that I wanted to have a big reveal where I showed that, like, oh, yep, I'm actually just doing Field of Dreams. Because that was one of my favorite movies as a kid. And it's still a good movie. But, you know, I never, if we had played on the server longer, I might have done more stuff out here. Augmented my horse testing track. So many skeletal horses. Done more along this path or what have you. But trying to think, there's not a lot I can say about the farm I haven't said already. You know, it's been a really good base. I'm gonna do something very different next year or next season, but because having this huge sprawling landscape was interesting, but I'm looking forward to mixing it up a little bit. So let's see. We got the library, we got the farm, we got obviously little trails and stuff along here. But really, this is what I've done on the server this year. You know, some of these things have taken episodes upon episodes, and some of these things were just something I spent a little bit of time on once and abandoned. And, you know, part of the joy of living on the server, though, is some of the things around me I had nothing to do with, like Wells Knight's cool dwarven home, which I think was a massive success. He did a great job with that. He's been a good neighbor. Let's see. I guess the only thing that I built on the server I haven't really acknowledged is probably these navigation buoys. And I probably will end up doing something like that on Hermitcraft 5, just because they are so helpful for not getting lost on the ocean. Like, there's a reason we build these in real life, guys. Like, experiment with these on your own server or whatever. I'm gonna revisit the design and maybe use concrete so that actually powdered concrete would be perfect because it'll float and then solidify. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go on up on top of Biff's chest here. Oh, actually, let's go on top of Cleo's tower. I don't think I've ever even been up here for real. Let's see what we can see. So, the library is right there. Very small. Our little bridge is just, I don't think you can see our bridge from here because of that cloud. It's blocked by that portal there. Looks like our shop and our arts district stuff is out of the way. Can't see that either. But let's see. Hopping on top of there. But yeah, there's our base, our farmhouse or whatever. Farmhouse, our city house. This is literally the opposite of my farmhouse and my base. This is my little adobe enclave in the city, I don't know. But yeah, this has been a really fun season. So thank you guys so much for joining me and enjoying it with me. It's been incredibly fun and creative and challenging, and I'm looking forward to further and future challenges and creations. Hopefully y'all will be there too. Anyway, until next time y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.